In this episode, we're going to talk about social media in China and what platforms Western brands should consider in the future.
With so many different platforms,
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube,
and their purposes evolving daily, navigating social media can be, well, complicated. Welcome to the Social Media Sucks podcast from Cubco.
Social media. Really sucks.
Where we unpack the latest trends and help remove the suck from social media.
Welcome back to the Social Media Sucks podcast, you guys.
What's up,
You're
guys?
tuning in for a dose of marketing and get what's happening in the ever-changing social media landscape. And today with me, I have Chris Carbonis, our Cubco CEO, and
Hey, what's up, guys?
or Andy Damian, lead strategist in Cubco.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Your title is so unique that we have to
What is it again?
What's his title?
Well, okay.
I'm the chief Santa officer now, not the CEO.
Okay.
Yes.
I am now just going to wear this every day for the rest of...
Cool.
For the rest
So
of December.
After this episode, we can like put in our names for presents or...
Have you been naughty or nice, Andy?
He's nice.
I am kind of nice.
Very nice. Kind of nice.
Kinda nice.
Okay.
Okay,
Let's
you
see.
can kind of have a gift.
Awesome.
I hope it's a big one.
Maybe it's $100 Amazon card.
It
Maybe for all employees.
Yes. Speaking of which, we have actually found a winner for the first $100 gift card to Amazon. So, Olivia Bossman, if you are listening, please drop us a note somewhere with your...
A pigeon? A dove? Or
Please message us on Instagram and DM us on Instagram, and we will send you... We'll get your details and we'll send you that $100 gift card. So congratulations, Olivia Bossman, for winning that $100 gift card. Next episode, or no, the next episode, we're going to announce another winner. So stay tuned for that, those of you listening. And if you'd like to get your own $100 gift card to Amazon, then please drop us a like, comment, subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, and we will draw winners. And you can be...
the lucky winner.
Yeah, you can just like go and buy whatever you want.
Yeah, and even if you're not winning anything, we are forever thankful for anyone who's listening. So,
Yeah, if you don't win, I mean, like, you might eventually win.
yeah. you just-
Chances are
just
really
keep
good
going.
right now,
I mean,
actually.
like, we're going to keep making
But
this podcast.
what do people need to do in order to be able to win?
Like, subscribe, comment. Either on YouTube or at the platform, the sort of podcast platform that they listen to
Okay.
podcasts on. So Spotify.
How can I
Or-
like it on Spotify?
Can't you like it on Spotify?
You can follow it, I think. Like subscribe.
But can we
to it.
see who's following our podcast?
We can't, but you have to do a review. If you do a review,
Ah,
then
the
we can.
reviews. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's how
do
we
Feedback.
do reviews,
Feedback,
guys.
Yes.
Or do a comment on
Yeah.
YouTube, and we'll hook
I
you
mean,
up.
do whatever that can leave your name, your handle anywhere, then we'll be able to pick it up.
There should be a way easier way to do this on podcast platforms, I think.
I agree.
Why didn't Spotify think about
There
this?
should be some way of doing
Of interacting with
Yeah.
the audience on Spotify.
I totally agree with you. Maybe we should make our own podcast.
We can also do a
platform,
live
maybe.
stream. We
We
can
should
do a
s-
live stream of podcast one day, and then people can actually see the bloopers.
That would be so
yeah,
cool.
and then we can just draw a winner instantly.
We tried this with Chris. It was so much fun.
We've done that with
Lives,
this
yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we actually, the Social Media
We've-
Sucks
we've
podcast
done-
was live at one point.
Maybe
but
we should
now
do that
we-
again someday.
we
Do it on.
decided no, it was a very bad idea.
Why?
But we can go live. Let us know in the
You have
comments
us
below
now.
if you'd like us to go live. We can set that up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let us know if there's
We can
enough.
test
If
it.
there's enough appetite for it, we'll do it.
Yeah. Hopefully not. Not like
was-
the last recording. That would be a bad life.
Yeah.
We're gonna cut out all of this.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to the issues.
Let's get into it, guys. Social media. It's not social media in China. What do you think differs mainly from the Western platforms versus the Chinese social media landscape?
Should I take that?
Yeah.
I think that there's a couple of things. One is obviously the language barrier. I think that when we look at the Chinese platforms, are very specific for that country. They're not like a global platform. They're very much specifically for that. And I think that what you have to also know is that most of those apps are also very inclusive. They have a lot of stuff like WeChat, for example. You can basically do everything on the planet.
It's a super app.
It's a super app. We've talked about super apps before. So you have to understand that like people are spending a lot of time there, and then what is your role there? It's also maybe not as, I would say, you know, feed-esque or like, you know, algorithmic based as sort of Western platforms are, in my opinion. People very much follow celebrities similar to Western sort of apps. And then there's I would say there's a more focus on shopping and sort of live streaming in Chinese apps, social media apps, than in other Western apps.
Gift giving also.
And gift giving and money stuff. Like
Yeah,
there's
there's a lot of money
lotteries.
exchange. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are more, about sort of, wealth and sort of finance in the Chinese market, which is quite interesting. And then I don't want to steal all the thunder, but I do think we can talk about this topic, is that there's obviously a lot more censorship. So because of the Chinese government, there's they're even cracking down on how much time people can spend in apps. They're even cracking down on, there's released the other day that they're like, you know, I think they're banning celebrities from showing how much wealth or showing situations
Like inequality.
Yeah, exactly. So they're banning celebrities from showing how much wealth they have or
Wow.
like sort of, you know, because they don't want maybe people to get some sort of mental health issues that we're also seeing in Western apps.
It's crazy.
So they're even going that far. They're even going as far as censoring the content a little bit so that kids see very educational content versus like, you know, girls shaking their ass all day. No offense to TikTok or other platforms like that, but
Or girls.
or girls shaking their asses. I mean, guys can shake their ass too. I mean, that's also nice. But I think that's really interesting, and I think we should talk a little bit about that. Is that, for example, LinkedIn has pulled out of China, you know, because of maybe the censorship issues, or maybe because they just haven't been able to break into that market. But yeah, so those are some of the major sort of differences. More censorship, that's definitely something that has to be taken into account, for sure.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'm also just like sort of looking into it because, to be honest, I'm quite new to working with anything in China. I think it's crazy to see how it differs just because it's regulated, and how much influence the government has on, you know, what is going on in this basically almost separated world. But it's also crazy to see how much bigger the audience is.
Yeah.
Did you know that there is like around 20 or 25 million internet users in the States, and compared to that there's like 85 million internet users in China?
Yeah.
How big of a market
But
that
the
is.
demography is the quantity is so large in countries like that.
Yeah,
Like
but
it's,
it's still it's insane for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm
It's-
coming
That's why like that lipstick king on
Yeah.
Alibaba can sell out, you know, what
Like
is it,
1 million, yeah.
$1.2 billion
It's
dollars
so
worth
many
of
people.
lipstick in 12 hours,
wow.
because it's just so many. The volume is
Yeah.
just insane. Right?
Exactly.
So it almost it's a world on its own where it actually needs its own social
Yeah.
media platforms.
Yeah.
Similar to like, you know, how Germany had Zing
Yeah.
for, I mean, it's still kind of there. It's
And that was only
struggling a
15
bit.
million people.
Yeah, but it's, I mean, these sort of dedicated platforms in these countries
Yeah.
are quite interesting. I think
Yeah.
I think it's very untapped, and I think brands can do a lot there, but they just have to know the rules of those platforms
Yeah.
and be very regional,
Yeah.
extremely regional.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be also like a specific like Nordic social app just across Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Faroe, all that.
It would never fly though.
Why?
Why?
It's like 40 million
'Cause
people.
it's too desperate. I mean, it's not enough people.
Why?
It's just not enough people.
40 million people?
Yeah.
China has only the double of it.
But extremely different languages. I mean, that's why you see Zing. I mean, how many people are in Germany? 85 million people in Germany.
Yeah.
I mean, even
It's
Zing.
50 million people who's
Yeah.
using the platform.
50
or was using
15.
15,
50, yeah, 15.
15.
Yeah. And even there, they're struggling with 15 million, right? So
yeah, I think they're going broke or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I just don't think there's just not enough volume like for having a dedicated social media. But it makes
Yeah.
total sense in China
Yeah.
because the numbers are that large. I mean, it just... So...
It just makes sense.
The volume is very large. What roles do you guys think social media play in Chinese consumers every day?
Well, I think shopping is huge
Yeah.
in China, as far as I know. And then obviously it's also serving the same roles as in anyone else's lives. Connectivity is key. And then it's just crazy that, as you mentioned, they are like basically super apps. So they serve all sorts of roles, really. And I might be just going a bit too broad, but
we're doing, right?
Yeah, but I think it's very, very different to how we use, different platforms for different, angles, while we showcase, our friends and family on Facebook, and very much, portray like a slightly different image on Instagram, and what we use TikTok for. While I think in China, most things are actually taking place on almost just one platform, which is crazy.
Everything gets through there, at least.
Yeah.
Everything starts there and gets shared there, actually. Yeah. So
it's basically just like one. It's almost like a metaverse experience. In just like one app, you have everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think like we've seen over the last couple of years that it has spread out to more. Like there's Red. I'm not saying it correctly probably, but there's like, it's sort of a Pinterest / Instagram sort of hybrid. There's also Douyin, which is the TikTok sort of version. So there is like this fragmentation of different things. And this only happened within the past few years, right? Where you are having separations between that. And I think that's a generational thing, similar with like Facebook. Similar that's happening in the Western world, where we're sort of creating these. Also, we talk about the niche platforms now for specifically for beauty, specifically for, Twitch is very much for gamers. I know it's for other things, but gamers are like the biggest sort of section on Twitch. It's the same thing that we're seeing in other countries. China's just a very good example where we're having separations now, where not everything is in WeChat. There's also, what is it called, Bilibili in China,
Weibo,
which is
Weibo, yeah,
but there's Weibo and there's Bilibili, which is like the YouTube sort of knockoff. Not knockoff. I mean, it's a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
So you do have like some of the same things that you're seeing across the Western world. You're also seeing on the Chinese side as well. And I think it's very much one-to-one. It's very much like, okay, this is happening sort of globally. We're looking at these niche platforms that do specific things, which is quite cool. And I do think, like you said, shopping is a big part of it, which I think is just fantastic. I mean, I really think we have just scratched the surface in the Western world in terms of shopping on live stream or shopping on, we talked about YouTube having the holiday stream now, and Twitter actually, and Pinterest. All these guys are opening up these sort of live stream shopping opportunities, where that's been in China for many years, right? And I think that's exciting for brands that want to do it in China. I mean, getting a sense of how the live stream shopping thing works here with live stream shopping for Pinterest or on Twitter or wherever or YouTube, then actually translating some of that sort of experience to China would make sense.
Yeah.
In the future. Yeah.
Definitely. How do you have any tips for brands who want to tap into these platforms? Like if they want to set foot in this huge consumer space.
You really have to pick your consultants. Like I think you really have to pick agencies and consultants that really understand the market. I think it's a misstep to just go in and think that, okay, we got it figured out. We'll just we'll start a WeChat group and we'll do this and we'll do. And it's not going to work.
Also, the culture is not different than the classic Western. You can still see a lot of the same things between Nordic and Western countries, since the Nordic kind of mimics large countries like the US.
Yeah.
And the China is just one organism on its own.
And I think what really works well in Western social media is when you are controversial or you touch a nerve.
Yeah.
Like that is what blows up, right? When you're just on the edge of like being a little bit inappropriate or just taking something that is maybe a little bit too hot to touch and putting your own spin on it. I don't think you can do that in Chinese culture. I don't think you can do that on Chinese social media apps. I think you have to tread lightly and figure out like, you know what I mean? What's going to work for you there is going to be extremely different than what's going to work for you on Twitter, for example, in the Western way. So I think that's a big tip that I have for Western brands is like, your standard, like, let's take this meme and make it our own. And it's probably not going to work for you. So just keep that in mind.
I think the demographics are important to tap into, to have that extensive research when you want to tap into the market as China, because the culture difference, not the culture difference, but the wealth is just so different. And in China, like there's so many low income, middle income. There's a huge difference in those kind of consumers. I think brands needs to do their consumer research also before they just go out.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just like the culture of internet in general is different. Like that's also where mukbang is originating from, or not specifically China, but Asia in general. Where I think loneliness is just maybe present in a different form or shape, and people are looking for connections online. And I think live stream is probably growing most in China already, and that's also where I think the whole live stream culture is originating from, or not specifically per se from China, but from Asian cultures, where I think there's a need for people to have these digital platforms where they can actually connect.
Yeah, makes sense. Love it.
And I just want to implement a correction here, because when I said 25 million American users and 80 million Chinese users, that was bollocks, because
180, isn't it?
It's not. It's crazy. I mean, just looking at social media or social network users in China, it's 1.2 billion.
Yeah, I thought when you said 85, I was like, what is he talking about?
No, it's going to be 1.2 billion in 2026. And in 2021, it's around 1 billion users.
Jesus.
So, wow, that's crazy.
It's an insane market.
That is crazy.
Yeah,
so yes, you were right. This
10, 15 times bigger.
the pan Scandinavian thing with 40 million people, no go.
Nothing compared.
That's what I mean. Like, it just doesn't scratch the surface.
It's
right?
crazy.
It doesn't make any sense, right?
How big is that?
Yeah. But it's also, I
Wow.
mean, going back to that point as well, like LinkedIn just couldn't make it work. And that's a good example of a Western brand, even though it's a social platform, trying to make it on the Chinese market and just misstepping, just not understand. I mean, there's so much competition there already.
Yeah.
Right. So you also have to look at that from a brand standpoint. Like, I mean, that's where that's where brands are being made also. Like, so you really have to figure out, okay, what's our unique position here versus the thousands of other brands that probably already exist here. I think it's a very
actually, it's important to be local
standpoint to be like, oh, we're from the West, we're now going to come into China, we're going to kick ass. It's like, hello, there's already 15 shoe brands that kick your ass in this market. Like, it's a little like what happened to what's his name, Richard Branson in the I think it was in the 80s or the 90s, where he tried to make Virgin Cola. No, it was probably the 80s, where he tried to make Virgin Cola to compete with Coke and Pepsi. And they did for a while, and then Coke was just like, took his legs out big time. It's like, this is our market. We own this shit. Don't mess with us.
Virgin Cola?
Yeah, didn't you remember this?
How lame does that sound?
Yeah, but it was actually did pretty good in the UK.
Really?
What is Virgin Cola?
It's like, well, you know how
it's
Richard Branson has Virgin Airlines, Virgin Records.
It's Virgin everything.
Like Virgin everything.
Oh,
with like that
okay.
It's kind of red and white.
Okay, okay.
And so he made Virgin Cola in the UK.
Okay.
And then he wanted to bring it to the US, and he tried and was a bit arrogant about it. He actually like drove a... This is an interesting story. I don't know the full details, but as I remember it, he drove like a tank down Times Square and like drove over Coca-Cola and Pepsi cans, and was like, basically saying we're here to take on the American.
And then Coke
brand.
was like, nah, I don't
Coke
think so,
was like,
son. Sit back.
No, yeah, exactly. Like, we got this. So then they went into the UK, and like, I think the story goes, they started bribing or paying off the big grocery stores to not stock Virgin Cola. And they just they came in with $1 billion or whatever, and just basically paid everybody individually, saying, hey, we're going to give you $3,000 or $10,000 to not stock this. And like within a year, Virgin Cola was dead. Just cut his legs out. So I think that's also the same with you trying to come in with, thinking that you're going to come in with this attitude and rule on the Chinese market. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Some of the Nordic brands have done it successfully, but
but that's a crazy story though. I never heard about it. It's cool.
Yeah, I think, let me know in the comments if I got it right or wrong. It's been a while since I heard the story, but It's an interesting. It is that
Sounds
sort of,
realistic so far.
It's that classic fable or it's not a fairy tale. It's a real story, but it's a classic fable of, being a little bit arrogant. And just getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
So,
Icarus flew too close to the sun. Well,
okay.
Brains on you.
To sum up this episode, we're just touched upon social media in China, that if brands, you want to tap as a Western brand, if you want to tap into this landscape, this platform, this huge organism that is China, then we see huge potential, since the consumers the volume is just insane, and that they have their platform on their own. And if you want to tap into these platforms, you have to be mindful and respectful of the culture, and be present, and be modest about tapping into these cultures, since they are really developed communities, especially these super apps that can support everything in a consumer's life. And that's also why we see huge potential, because there's many angles and many ways for brands to tap into these functionalities that dominates every Chinese people's life every day. So here you have it, guys. Thank you guys for listening, and please subscribe, leave your feedback, likes, comment with us, and get a chance to win a $100 gift card to Amazon.
This has been the Social Media Sucks Podcast.